Today, I travel to an absolute gem of a town, Walhalla. Once bustling with more than 4,000 people lured by the promise of gold, it's now a tiny town, frozen in time, with just over 20 inhabitants. Incredibly, one of them was action star Liam Neeson, who recently came here to make a movie. What did the locals make of their brush with Hollywood? Let's find out as we dive into the picturesque historic streets of Walhalla. We'll start our tour of Walhalla just up the road a little, where you'll find the old Thompson station. So the Goldfields Railway runs on weekends, and it runs from here at Thompson through to the old town of Walhalla. Unfortunately, it's not a weekend today, so I can't ride it. The train crosses the Thompson River as it makes its way up to Walhalla. This town was developed in the 1860s, where they found gold here, and at one point it was quite busy. They had something between 4,000 and 6,000 people living here. These days there's about 20 people who live here. It's a very quiet little town, but it's incredibly beautiful. Gold is not the main economy here now. Tourism is. And it's no wonder. It's such a beautiful little town. Walhalla once had its own council, its own hospitals, fire station, a whole range of sort of public services, but these days it's pretty quiet. It does still have a fire station though. But not a working fire station. So I've checked, it definitely is Walhalla, not Valhalla. I've come into the corner store and they have a little museum in one of their rooms here. Let's just go have a look around that. So the corner store was established in 1892 and it's a little bit more modern, but it really has the same feel that you imagine it would have had back in the late 1890s. It even had its own newspaper established in 1892. So here in town you can actually do a ghost tour, holding a lantern, wandering through the town and hearing stories of days gone by. Unfortunately, that only happens on a Saturday night, and today is not Saturday night, so we're not going to be able to do that, but we can look around at this beautiful, gorgeous old town.
Goosebumps to my skin. Tonight the whiskey feels stronger. Gasoline on hidden desires. So I'll throw another log on the fire.
Like seriously, everywhere I look, it's just so pretty. So it may be midweek and some of the touristy things are not on, but my God, I've got a glorious day. It is just perfect. Colours in these trees, magnificent. Nature is so beautiful. And these leaves on the ground, they're like confetti. Now the ghost tours and the train weren't quite working for me today because it was the wrong day of the week, but if you wanted to tour the mine, don't worry about it. They'll do that every single day of the week, so you won't miss out. So you're going into the mine, you need a hairnet, and of course a hard hat. Okay, I'm a miner now. What do you get when you push a piano down a mine shaft? A flat minor. So it's cool. There's a little museum attached to the office and also this one here, and it's just got lots of remnants from the mine. Lots of drill bits and axes and bits of machinery that they would have used in the day to extract so much gold out of this mine that we're going into. I wonder if we'll see gold. I'm looking for gold. Found it. So apparently gold was first found here by an ex-convict called Ned Stringer. And the town originally was called Stringer's Creek, but they changed it because people didn't like to name a town after an ex-convict. I imagine he was a pretty wealthy ex-convict by then. And that's the tools of your trade, basically a sledgehammer and a tap. And they'd be whacking that for years before they even found any trace of gold. Getting a little bit narrow now, a little bit low. Oh, what hard work. This is the seam of quartz in which the gold was found. More than 440 ounces came out of here. Well, this is where you'd be hanging out if you worked down here. I mean, on your break or something. Wow. Crazy. Crazy. Brave men trying to make some money. So those old boilers generated steam, which generated power to run some of the machinery here, but they also used those boilers to run electricity into town. So Walhalla was actually the second town in Victoria to get electricity in 1900 something or other, I forget. But then once the mine closed, Walhalla lost its electricity and they didn't get it back until 1998. So it was actually the first and last town in Victoria to have electricity. What a weird, oddball story. So the shafts are about 270 metres in and 1,120 metres deep. And there's something like 8.5 kilometres worth of tunnels around here. And this guy needs to see a bit more sunshine.
I got to here and finally began to sink the main shaft.
He's been down here way too long. So at one point, that reef was actually the most productive gold reef in all of Australia for about 3 or 4 years. And during the course of the mining, more than 50 miners died in accidents, and that doesn't count the ones who died with miner's lung years later. So pretty tough work. Hats off to them. Over here is the vault where once gold was discovered, they had to store it before it was taken back to Melbourne. I read something like almost 500,000 ounces of gold was taken out of the tunnel here, and its value would have been about $1.5 million. Probably more than that these days. Cutting your hair, selling tobacco, and fancy goods, whatever they are. I want some fancy goods. And because this town is so scenic and picturesque, Hollywood came here. In February of 2024, Hollywood came to town with Liam Neeson. They were making Ice Road Truckers 2, and they used this town for some of the scenes. This town was standing in for Nepal. There was a scene set in Nepal but filmed here. So the movie company changed the town, repainted it, made it look like it was a little village in Nepal, and then once filming was finished, they painted it again back to the way it was. That's the way Hollywood works, eh? So what's it like living in a town of merely 20-something people, and what's it like having Hollywood come to that town? I thought I'd try and ask some locals, and what better place to start that than the local pub. Hiya. G'day.
Hey.
So guys, did you end up meeting Liam Neeson?
No, but he ordered lunch here a few times. I wasn't here to, see him, but
What was his favourite?
grilled chicken breast.
Okay. But you never got to meet him. How about you?
No, I never got to meet him. I did get to drive past him though, so I saw him at the front of the Star Hotel, trying to have a wave and just kept moving. But no, I didn't get to see him at all.
Oh, elusive Hollywood stars.
I didn't get to see Liam much in the actors, but I met the director and the producer.
Yeah.
And probably that, for me, that's more important. They're the ones that created it. But we used to sit out in the veranda and watch him every day. It was just quite interesting.
So you had a front row seat?
Had a front row seat into the car park, which they all had set up,
Yeah.
So they used the car park.
Yeah.
I've got a Nepalese flag at home that they gave me, which I haven't hung up yet, but I'll put it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't having much luck finding someone who'd met Liam Neeson, but then a local suggested I try Walhalla Cemetery. So did you get to meet Liam Neeson?
Yeah, we had a cardboard cutout of him. We figured that a lot of people wouldn't be able to get to meet him, and so
Yeah.
we had a cardboard cutout here, and a lot of people were getting their photos with him. and he basically, one of his assistants came down and said that he would pop in briefly at some stage and would get photos and stuff with him. So,
And he did?
And he did, yeah. He popped in for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we got photos with him, and there was a guy that had just come down from Queensland. He didn't know anything about the filming or anything like that.
Yes.
He got out of the car and he turned around, and Liam Neeson was standing right in front of him. So he got heaps of photos with him, and yes, but it was really good. We got photos with the family and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it was,
So he sounds very friendly.
He's an absolute gentleman. So yeah.
And finally, I've met Liam Neeson. G'day, bud. There we go, that's not too bad. Look at this rat bag. Yeah, little rat bag. I had a croissant. I took one bite. This little bugger flew in and snatched it off me. Help! No, get out! I'm trying to have an afternoon snack, but the kookaburras have got their eyes on what I'm eating. Walhalla really is one of my favourite towns in Victoria. It's so picturesque and it's so full of rich history, and everybody in this town is really happy to share that history. This town, once upon a time in the 70s, they tell me, was a bit of a ghost town. It had all fallen apart and the miners had long left. But gradually over time, people started moving back into the town and they started repairing everything. And once electricity came in 1998, then the tourists started coming too. So there was a whole concerted effort in town to recreate the town that it once was, that attracts thousands and thousands of tourists every year. Next I came to the old post office, where Clayton was really happy to show me around. So this is the old post office, which doubles as a museum, and it's spectacular. It really was like a time capsule, a snapshot into the past. So this post office, Doreen was the lady that came up and worked the post office, and then when the post office closed, she bought the building, left much of this as it was, and just lived out the back. So up there, they're the bells for ringing to get the servants to come and help. There you go. Cup of tea, please. Look at this.
Sometimes I see it all so clear. You are the reason I'm here. I was in the dark, but you were the light, guiding me through this night. Guide me through this night.
So Clayton, is it haunted?
Well, we hear lots of stories. You always feel a presence, I reckon, but I don't know if it's actually haunted. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, you feel something in here.
It's cool, but it is a cold morning.
My mum's volunteers in here, and she had a woman that came in that was sort of right into that sort of thing, and she couldn't stay in here. She felt like she was being touched, and she just like screamed and left the building. So I've heard all sorts of stories.
So maybe Doreen still lives here. We just don't see her anymore. So now I'm just heading up the hill a little bit to Walhalla's historic old cemetery. There's something quite unique about this cemetery. This cemetery dates back to 1866, back to when this town was in its heyday, and there's something like 1,300 graves here. So this cemetery is quite unique because flat ground was a real scarcity around here. The little bits of flat ground in this steep valley were used for housing, so they didn't have anywhere else to put a cemetery other than up the side of a hill. Let's clamber up here and see what we can find. They're from the 1900s. 1893, 1898, and these look a little older up here. Something quite fascinating actually about wandering through old cemeteries in very old towns, because you get to see not only how people lived here but also how people died. And in a place like this often it's like mining accidents and pretty sudden and tragic deaths. So there are graves right around here, right through to the tree line over there, and again right up the top there. I can see headstones sticking out just beneath the tree line over there. What a beautiful, peaceful place to have your final resting place. It's gorgeous. Yeah, this one, Archibald James, who died in 1877, and his daughter, who was only 8 months old, died in 1878, and also a son who was 10 years old, who died in 1910. That's kind of testimony to how harsh life was back in those days. Often the fatality rates for children were pretty high. Okay, can't find Doreen, but with 1,300 graves here, I'd probably be here all day trying to find her. You can stay in Walhalla. There's the Star Hotel behind me, but there's also a range of B&Bs and little Airbnbs, and there's a couple of campgrounds just up the road, because that's where I'm going to be staying tonight. Now, if you're wanting to camp here at Walhalla, there are actually two campsites just north of town. There's this one, which is free, and then just up the road is a place called Chinese Gardens, which does cost you some money. This one has a toilet and some fire pits. The other one has toilets, showers, laundry, a little bit more to offer. Well, I've had a great time poking around Walhalla. Highly recommend you come and have a look and maybe even stay for a night or two. This really is one of my favourite towns in Victoria. It's like the town that time forgot, and I love that about it. And everyone here is so friendly and so nice and so helpful. So until the next time, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.
I keep my head up towards the sky and look for you like a satellite. When things go wrong and I'm out of touch, you always find a way to send me love and lose.